Welcome to the Back to Soul podcast. Here we will connect with our soul and discuss what the journey home looks like. Inspired by my own true spiritual awakening, I'm your host, Danyell, better known as Coach Danyell. I'm a life coach specializing in wellness and finance. I've searched, I've Googled, but I couldn't find the answers I was looking for on this journey. So hopefully listening to this podcast will help you come home, back to soul. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for weekly episodes. Welcome to the Back to Soul podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Returning listeners, just thank you for coming back. This podcast, we speak about coming back to soul. We speak about coming back home, getting back to your soul roots. Today, I'm touching on money mindsets. So those who are familiar with my coaching services, you know that I've worked in banking over 10 years. I offer financial coaching, I offer budgeting services, and I'm still in banking at this time. As you listen to the Back to Soul podcast, don't forget I am a life coach and I'm here to help you succeed and excel in your everyday life. I've been in those tough situations, those situations where you need someone to talk to, you need a friend to console you. I can be that person for you. I can help to motivate you, empower you, and help you to hold accountability. You are not alone and help is here. Whether you're needing advice on budgeting, time management, accountability, staying inspired, or just someone to talk to, I'm here. Use code POSITIVITY to save 50% on your intro coaching session. My promise, if I'm not a great fit as your coach, then the session is free. Book today at CoachDanyell.com. A really quick background on myself. I was raised by a single mom. We weren't rich by any means, but she made sure we always had what we needed. As I got older, I went to college. I started working multiple jobs. And from there, I just knew that if I worked hard, I could get whatever I wanted. So my mindset was, no matter if it affected me mentally, physically, emotionally, I knew that if I put the work in, there would be some type of output. So if I worked multiple jobs, 2-3 jobs at a time, I could still generate income. And again, I could buy whatever I wanted. But eventually I did hit a wall. So I became tired of neglecting my needs and not my wants. I discovered there are easier ways to make money that don't sacrifice 80 hours a week of your time and don't sacrifice your mental and physical, emotional health. I think when I truly decided to stop working multiple jobs, that's when my mindset just shifted. There are tons of ways to make money, and it doesn't involve working yourself to death. There's drop shipping, affiliate marketing, digital products, selling services, courses. I think the main focus should be just finding something you like and you wouldn't mind doing consistently. If you don't, then you'll possibly just end up giving up. You'll end up getting burnt out. I think we hear a lot of these really simple, easy ideas, and that's what we think. Oh, how easy, I can do that. But how long can you do this? Are you willing to put in the work? Are you ready to be your own boss? Are you ready to switch that mindset from being a worker to being an actual boss, your own boss? Now, these messages, it may be for my entrepreneurs, my hustlers, the grinders, but it's definitely something to think about. It's one thing to work for a company and the paycheck is coming. You know it's coming. The insurance is there. The benefits are there. But when it comes to running your own business and motivating yourself, you have to be the one to get things done. Usually it's every day. You have to be dedicated and be consistent every day. Another thing is the money may not come right away. You may have to put in a year's time of work just to have income, have a profit generating. Will you be discouraged or will you push through? Speaking of paycheck coming through, let's briefly talk about Silicon Valley Bank, just a brief intermission. So at this time, both Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank have been taken over by the FDIC, deemed as failures. So let's talk about what happened. So traditional banks, they take their deposits that they have and they use that to maybe generate loans and they will earn profit from those loans, or it could be other assets. Silicon Valley Bank, they took their deposits and they bought bonds, which these bonds continued to lose value because the Fed continued with the increased rate quite quickly. And Silicon sold its bonds at a $2 billion loss to try and raise liquid. The stock decreased 60% and companies started to pull their money from the bank. And so when you have all of your customers trying to withdraw their money all at once and the bank only will have so much liquid on hand, that's what causes a failure. I'm not sure if a lot of people actually know that, but the bank doesn't have that total value just sitting as liquid because they have to make money off of that. That's how they make their money. They make money on loans or, again, other assets. So, if they have that money loaned out or contained in an asset, they don't have it to you, if all of their customers are trying to withdraw funds all at once. This is how banks work in a nutshell. So again, when they sold those bonds and the stock dropped, people were withdrawing their money, companies were withdrawing their money, and it's a trickle effect. If customers are scared, yes, they're going to pull their money from those banks. Again, banks don't keep that much liquid on hand. So some of their well-known customers, they're known for startup companies, but I think the bigger companies is going to be Roku, Lending Club, Roblox, Payoneer, and Circle, $1 million companies. And when something of this magnitude happens, it's understandable that it didn't happen overnight. You can read articles going back to last year about a huge possible loss with this bank, and it's something that other banks have known. I think, again, this is public. You can go and research it. I think the public will quiet the noise over time, but no doubt that this is a huge financial loss, which companies will have to incur that trickle effect. Here on the Back to Soul podcast, we will speak often about books and how they can help us to navigate this journey back home, back to our soul. I've partnered with Audible, who has thousands of titles to choose from, including audiobooks, podcasts, and groundbreaking originals, and just so much more. Plus, the Audible app makes things so much easier to listen to anytime and anywhere. So to continue your journey back home, back to your soul, go ahead and download the Audible app. Also, let me mention, new members try Audible free for 30 days. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Coach Danyell, CoachDanyell. So when it comes to money mindsets, planning is important. Somewhere within your timeline, you will incur losses. And maybe not big losses in the amount of 16 billion, but it'll be relative to you and your situation. I feel when it comes to making money, it's always great to have a game plan, understanding your cash flow, understanding the amount of money that you're spending, as well as how much money you're bringing in. Are you living outside of your means? Are you saving any money? One last thing I'll mention is knowing your capability. You are absolutely capable of being a millionaire or a billionaire. There's nothing that can stop you if you put your mind to it. So these limited beliefs, this conditioning that has placed limits on your mentality on how much money you can make, that is the issue. But you have to understand there are no limits. If you are working for a company, that company or that business is going to place a limit on how much you can make. But if you're working for yourself, there are no limits. There's no one to say, oh, you've capped at how much you can make for the year. There are no limits. There are no limits to the amount of money that you can make. But do you believe it? That's going to wrap up the show for today. Don't forget to come back for new episodes. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to be notified for weekly episodes. Also, this doesn't have to be goodbye. Check out the Find Your Positivity podcast. It's available on all platforms. Daily episodes are posted for your affirmations and your intention settings of the day. See you soon.